Welcome back to the Pro Series Podcast, episode 207 here. Today's guest, Dr. Monica Curry. She is a leadership coach. She helps leaders lift out of their own day-to-day lens and imagine what it feels like to walk and lead in someone else's shoes. Take the shift to change everything. We talk all about her expertise, her background, where she started her professional career, and we get into coaching and kind of give her some scenarios on what she would do to help someone maybe in the industry that I'm in, or someone just in a small business or owns a small business. But before we get into this podcast, please like, subscribe, and review the Pro Series Podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. Now I hope you enjoy episode 207 with Dr. Monica Curry. Dr. Monica Curry, thank you so much for hopping on the Pro Series today. I'm so excited to talk to you about your experience, but also learn about your history and how you got to where you are in your professional career. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm excited. And please, my friends call me Monica.
Okay.
So I'm extending that to you as well. So I'm excited to be able to share because my story is a little unorthodox because I'm a late bloomer in this. Okay. So I'm excited to share and learn from you as well.
I'm curious on what you say late bloomer, because I've had a lot of guests on here that don't start their careers, I say their passion career. So something that's always been in their heart their whole lives, they just didn't know it. And then they start corporate America and kind of find themselves when they're working that 9 to 5 and they're like, hey, I don't want this anymore. So I'm kind of curious on what you are saying. What is a late bloomer to you? Like what was your career? How did it start and how did you get to where you are?
Sure. So I'm a divorcee.
Okay.
I'm a single mom. I had to move back to Dover, Delaware, where I was from after I got divorced to kind of restart my life. And so with that, I went and got my associate's degree and I started in a contact center. I'll leave the company names out just to make it safe. So I started in a contact center and I spent 10, almost 11 years in this contact center, call center, however we want to frame it, customer service. And so I went from part-time to full-time, and there was a position that came available, and they were like looking for individuals that were willing to train the new hires. And I raised my hand because I was tired of being on the phone. Anybody that's worked in a contact center knows, like, okay, what can I do to get off the phone? And so I stumbled into my career by accident in learning and development. And so went from a part-time employee to taking a chance on doing these training classes. And I realized that I was good at it. I teach and taught through stories. So in these training classes, people got to know my daughter, people got to know my brothers. Like I would just tell stories, so much so that like 5 or 6 years later, I would have individuals that had been new hires in my class talking about, so how's your daughter? How's your brother? And so I realized that storytelling was my forte. And so I stumbled into my career as in the learning and development, or what we call the OE, organizational effectiveness space. Ironically, again, I'd been there almost 11 years and there was a merger and acquisition. And so I had been traveling with the contact center, traveling from state to train. And through the merger and acquisition, there were some policy changes. And one of the policy changes was that you had to have a bachelor's degree to qualify for your job. And so because of the amount of traveling I had done, your performance was not a factor. And so I no longer qualified for the job that I had been doing successfully for almost 10 years in the training space. And so we talk about there are those aha moments or those pivotal moments that kind of define what your next steps would be. And so I ended up having to take a leave. Again, the organization paid me very well for exiting the organization. But I decided then and there that education was never going to be a factor as to whether or not I qualified for a position. And we'll get to that as well. And so that kind of led me on my journey around education and the impact that I wanted to make in the spaces that I was able to access. So left there, contact center for credit card. And then I went to a trust company. And so again, petitioned for different roles. And that's when I got my master's degree. So I did end up getting my bachelor's degree. And then I was like, okay, so I'm going to get my master's degree. And so my dad has one. And so I was just like, okay, I'm very competitive. So I got two. That organization, again, it was going through some tenuous times. It was when gas prices were high. I was in a truck, still a single parent. And so it was like, I need more. I needed more from a compensation perspective because we all have ebbs and flows in our career, right?
Yeah.
Where in our early career, we want to make money. And then our mid-career, it's more about impact. So I was still in the I need to make money phase. And so left that role and went to another bigger company outside of the state. So I was driving outside of Delaware. And so again, this organization gave me great access and opportunity. I had an opportunity to get my doctorate's degree. So I actually had to write a proposal as to why this organization should pay for me to get my doctorate's degree. And so,
Wow.
So again, because most corporate spaces only pay for a master's degree.
Yeah.
But I was getting my doctor's degree. I was determined a little bit about why the doctorate's degree. So my grandfather, who passed at 94 years old in 2019, he grew up in a time down in Sumter, South Carolina, where it was more important to pick cotton than it was to go to school. And so he only had a 4th grade education. And I am one of a growth mindset. I love to learn. School was my number 2 job. And so I wanted to make sure within his lifetime, there was a doctor in his family. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saving anybody's lives. Don't ask me to do mouth to mouth. I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm all about education and growing the next generation of leaders. And so that was why it was important to me to get my doctorate degree for myself as well, because, as a woman of color, just being fully transparent, as a woman of color, it sometimes is difficult for me to get a seat at the table. Mm. And sometimes it's optics that gives me a seat at the table, but I'm not always considered as a voice at the table. And so this was a way for me to build my level of credibility to not only have a seat, but also to be valued around what I say or don't say, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so in that space, I was at that organization for 10 years and applied for position after position after position, and I wasn't getting it. And when I looked at who was getting the position, and again, I've got my doctor's degree, and I also enlisted someone in that organization, a white male, to sit on my dissertation board. So he knew I was getting my doctor's degree. And position after, I was passed up for position after position. Now I have a high rating from a performance standpoint, but I was seeing that I kept getting passed up. And ironically, it was because, or in my mind, no one looked like me. Mm. And so that is when I made a clear decision that I would become an entrepreneur. I use an and strategy, and I'll tell you about that as well. I wanted to become an entrepreneur to share my story so that executives or anyone in the C-suite could better understand how to remove some of the biases and think differently about talent. Because I say talent does not discriminate. What we have to do is stop looking in the same places we've continued to look. We just need to broaden the spectrum of locations that we're looking for talent. And it could be different schools. It could be different departments in your organization, being willing to take a chance on someone that may not have grown up in the same spaces, school, community, so on and so forth. And so it was within that era that I decided that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Wasn't quite sure how, but I was going to become an entrepreneur. And then later on, after I completed my dissertation, was officially a doctor, I went ahead and I incorporated for that time that I was ready.
Mhm.
And you and I spoke before we started recording, because courage is something I'm learning to live by. And so what I mean by that is it takes courage to step out. It takes courage to step out in the unknown. It takes courage to sell yourself.
Oh yeah.
And so that's when I decided that I would do an and strategy. I was talking to some individuals at the previous company, and the and strategy is so you can work a 9 to 5 and rev up your own business, so that when you do transition out of corporate, that you have a leg to stand on. You have credibility, built credibility, and you have at least a client base to start you out, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mhm.
So I'm a pause because I know I kind of been all over the place.
Yeah, I like how you said, so when you were leaving corporate, and because you were trying to create something to show the C-suite, but I
Mhm.
also feel like you making that also helps people that are struggling, like in your shoes, and trying to say, hey, I don't have anybody else that feels like me or is seeing this, but I mean, I see it on both sides, you know? I mean, did you see that going in, that you were gonna help other people that were kinda like in the same shoes as you?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a woman of color, but I'm also a single mom.
Mm,
I'm also a divorcee. I'm a woman, and so women in corporate and in certain spaces, because I've been in automotive and financial services. So
okay.
women in those spaces, sometimes we struggle or we have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And so again, my goal is not to just help women of color or to help open the eyes of C-suite. I want to advocate for anybody that comes from a community that continues to be underestimated,
Mm,
or the other word people use is marginalized. I just like to think sometimes people underestimate me. And when you give me a chance, when you open up a conversation with me, hopefully what I found is people are in awe and want to know more.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm here to create. I just had a granddaughter last week. So
Oh,
I want to
congrats.
create. Thank you.
Mm,
And I have a grandson who is 8. And that's also part of the reason why I've been doing the work that I've been doing for the past 15 years, is
mhm,
because I want to create a world for everyone's kids, where they can come into a classroom or come into a meeting and they feel a sense of belonging and confidence to share their beliefs or their point of view, even if it's contrary to the one that's on the table. So
yeah.
I'm hoping to help anybody and everybody.
I love that, and I kinda wanna go back to something you said in the very early on in your journey and your story right there is there's people that take their past and allow it to take over their life. So the rest of their life, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't have that because of this." But you took what your grandpa went through and made you drive yourself to get that doctorate and get even better and just have a brighter future, which is insane and amazing. But I feel
Thank
like
you.
so many people don't see it that way. And I see so many people having excuse after excuse when they say their past is like it's chaining them down and they're not allowing themselves to break out of that.
I agree. I've seen a lot of that. I have friends that allow their situation or circumstance to define what they can or cannot do.
Mhm.
And I have to, I think I'm fortunate that I come from a network or tribe of people that will continue to push. And like you said, I think of my grandfather. He could have given up in those
Yeah,
early days.
yeah.
But he didn't. So I think I come from a tribe of resilient. We call us the Wilson gang. So my dad's last name and my former last name was Wilson. Like, we are fighters. So if you see my Muhammad Ali, we are fighters. We are resilient, and I believe I have a purpose.
Mhm.
And so it was first identifying that I had a purpose. And at that point, you don't let any situation or circumstance define what you're capable of. And
Yeah.
so that's actually part of the conversation I've had with my daughter. She's now 30, but growing up in a single parent household, and a lot of her friends had two parent households. And so what I had to continue to remind her is don't let my choice, my situation or circumstance define what you're capable of. And so, she's doing well. She bought a house before I bought my first house. So she's in competition with me, like I was in competition with my dad, because my philosophy, and I've always said this to my daughter, even my nephews, don't be like me, be better than me. That
Mm.
generation, that next generation needs to be better.
Yeah.
We need to be able to prove and show how to be better
Mm.
financially, as well as from an education perspective, so on and so forth. So I'm fortunate that I come from a lineage of resilience and perseverance. That's
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can that I draw from that. That's the only thing that I can say. It's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's one of those things, and you said finding your purpose kind of like put a switch. And I feel like that's with a lot of people that don't have the confidence to do what they want to do. It's because, in my opinion, they haven't found the purpose of what they want to do in life or why they want to do something in life. And they don't have that confidence to push them forward.
Right, right. I, Again, I'm a late bloomer. Like, because I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do, what everybody expected me to do. And you're absolutely right. It came, my courage and my confidence. And I wouldn't even define my courage today is different than my courage when I was in my 40s, early 40s, different than my courage in my 30s, so on and so forth. And I have to admit, I think it came with getting my doctorate's degree, turning 40, and being an empty nester. It gave me a different perspective. It also gave me insight into my purpose. Understanding my story can, to your point, I didn't go through what I went through to hoard it and to keep it. It's
Yeah.
about sharing it so that it's a testament and a testimony for others. Because I do believe representation matters,
Yeah.
and it goes back to what you said earlier. Like, I don't go by Dr. Curry or Dr. Monica. A lot of times, like I said to you, please just call me Monica. But people that look like me are like, oh, no, 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 no. We will call you doctor, because it means something. And I say, I get it. And it means something to me, not necessarily to everybody else. But it's understanding that representation matters. That as a single mom, I was able to do these things. So as a single mom, so can you. As a woman of color of a certain age, I was able to do this. You may not think you can, but I promise you, if you put all your heart to it, absolutely you can.
Yeah. It blows my mind. To know that you did all bachelor's, master's, two masters, and a doctorate while you were first off, say you were never married or have kids, because I don't have kids, and I can't imagine myself doing that. And the fact that you did all of that, that's just absolutely insane. Because adulthood itself is hard.
It's Adulthood is the hood. It's hood. It's
Yeah,
ghetto.
it's hard.
It is. But again, I didn't do it by myself. I have an amazing network. My in-laws would watch my daughter while I was trying to do homework or get her to karate or what have you. If I was traveling or I needed to be heads down, I have siblings that live close by. And so my daughter could go over there. And then at a certain age, I have to share this. After I got my master's and I did walk for my master's, I knew then, because I saw the doctorates walk across the stage. And I knew then that's going to be me one day. But my daughter said to me, she wasn't driving yet. So she was probably about 13 or 14 years old. And because that she's my ride or die. And so I said to her, hey, I want to go back to school. So she gave me two conditions. Again, this is part of being a single parent. She said, can you wait until I'm of driving age so I can do things, so I don't have to be dependent on you? And the second condition was I don't have to call you Dr. Mom. And so I was like, okay, I think I can manage with those. And so once she got her driver's license, she was like, Mom, you good to go. So I got permission from my daughter to go back to school. And, again, when I defended, which means before I walk across the stage, I had to write a book. It had to be reviewed by scholarly professors at the university. I had to sit in front of, or actually, I stood in front of a panel of 5 professors that they firing squad asked me questions, and I literally had to defend my dissertation, my point of view that I wrote about. And it was important that my daughter, my 2 nephews, and my grandfather were in there because that was the first time they introduced Dr. Monica Curry. And I needed my daughter and those that were around me because they were there. I couldn't go out to eat because I had to write. I couldn't go to soccer games, my nephew's soccer games, because I had to write. And so I think family, whether blood or not, is key in anybody's success, whether it's about going to school, whether it's about just holding you accountable to the simple things. I attribute a lot of who I am and what I've been able to accomplish on my tribe.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's the backbone of how you could get going. You could have all the courage you
Absolutely.
will have, but if you don't have any support, how do you get there?
You're absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Looking back at your journey, are you someone that says, "Ooh, I wish I did this," or do you feel like everything aligned because you needed to get to the position you are today?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with the no. Hindsight 2020. We're always gonna sit there and be like, yo, I wish I could have, or I could have reacted, or what if I had, or what if I had not taken this job but took this job? But going back to the point, it was all part of the process. It was all part of the plan that led me to where I am today and who I am today. Even the challenges, the things that didn't go so well, those I still would not change because it's those trials and tribulations and how you overcome them that builds character. And so there are a couple of situations that I think of, and it was like that self reflection of what could I have done differently? And then how do I move forward? If I'm faced with the same situation again, how do I do it differently?
Mm.
So hindsight 2020, yes, but I think I am where I'm supposed to be right now. Being an entrepreneur, it allowed me to be in the delivery room with my daughter last Tuesday. I think the baby Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't even remember. It's all, this is my first day back to doing work.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I think she's 4 days old now, 4 or 5 days old. But had I been doing a 9 to 5 and in a 9 to 5, I may not have had that opportunity
Yeah.
to create that experience with my daughter and her husband. For my voice to be one of the first voices that my granddaughter hear or heard. So I think everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, led me to where I am today. And what I've also learned is to diversify. Even though like right now, so I'm just going to share, a lot of my work is around transformation and culture. So I've done a lot of work in the DEI space. And with the current administration, I'm not sure if you follow, but I'm sure DEI is a bad word. It gets everyone's hair standing up on the back of their neck. And so that's where a lot of my work was or had been. And so I'm having to talk about the work that I do differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I was leading to is because of some of the pause in my work, it has allowed me to do different things. So I also teach at the university. So I teach undergrad and grad classes. And so it's around leadership and culture. So being able to diversify income, but also still being able to make an impact in different ways. Ohio. So again, I live in Delaware. So I subcontract with an organization out in Ohio, and I coach K through 12.
Oh, okay.
I teach. I have, strategy work. And so it allows me to keep my life interesting
Yeah.
at the same time.
Dang. So with your business now,
Okay.
I'm looking at your website.
Oh,
Anybody could reach out to you and get help or coaching, or how does that all work?
huge LinkedIner. So I am always, with the exception of last week, I took a pause, a hiatus. But I am a huge LinkedIner. My website is out there. You can jump on Calendly. My YouTube is out there. I have Facebook. I have Insta. So a little bit about my organization. It is called Impacting Squared. It's all about multiplying. So if you impact the employee, you will automatically positively impact the organization. That's the squared part. And so I just think about an example I will give you. If I am coaching a teacher, think about that teacher has at least 10 to 15 students in her class. So not only am I impacting that teacher positively, then that's a trickle down. That's 15 students. And that's also parents. And then the next year, and then the next year. And so, again, it's all about sharing and multiplying the benefit and the impact. So anybody can reach out to me at any time. You can subscribe to my blog as well. Again, it's www.impactingsquared.com, or you can reach me at it's M Curry at impactingsquared.com as well. So I offer a wide variety of services, from keynote speaking to building classes on something around from buddy to boss. Because a lot of us in the corporate, we grew up in a space, we've become friends with those that we've worked with, our peers, and then we get promoted. And it's just like, okay, so how do I manage this relationship now? Because we're friends, but now I'm the boss. And so that's a hard transition for some. So
Yeah.
how do we talk through, and how do I coach you through maintaining that relationship, but also the accountability of being the leader? So again, I offer a wide variety of services.
That's awesome. Yeah. So your mainstay for social media is LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a huge LinkedIner.
Okay. See, I always say this to people. I do a lot of consulting for social media and help people with their digital marketing and stuff. And I always say that the two social medias, at least in my business, would be Instagram and LinkedIn. And people are
Okay.
like, what do I put on LinkedIn? Because it's totally two different things if you
But
think
see, I
about it.
say, what do I put on Insta?
Okay. See?
Because Insta is more pictures, videos, and I'm not a huge, like, I can do a podcast, but me to record myself and sit in front of a camera and record myself, that is scary.
Really?
Yes.
I was literally, when we get off this call, I was going to say, why don't you have a podcast or some type of video thing?
I had a podcast, and it's actually out there on YouTube, and I'm not comfortable by myself. I need people around me to be on video. I've seen a lot of people just get on and as influencers talk about, like, I don't think anybody would be interested in what I have to say.
You
It's
need,
me talking.
I think, see,
Eric.
I'm going to help you out here. I think, so I do a podcast on the weekends all by myself. And I thought that
Really?
same exact thing, that felt awkward. And I just sat at my desk and recorded it without video and
Okay.
released it that way. And I did that for a year. And then I implemented the video. In the beginning, the video was very awkward, but it's at the point now that it feels normal.
Really?
Yeah. And it really does fulfill like your
Okay.
creative process. Like you'll find yourself talking like you're blogging.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And
Okay. I'm following you.
you'll be amazed how many people want to listen to it too.
Because my podcast, again, it started by just like a bunch of girls, let's get together. And the podcast was called You Are Enough, or We
Oh,
Are Enough, say it back.
okay.
So we are enough. And so it was for any demographic that was interested in hearing what we women of color had to say about, we talked about being senior level leaders in corporate spaces, all the way down to why are we still single? Like, what is it about an educated woman of color that is intimidating? Like, we actually talked about a little bit of everything, but then, life be lifing. And so we
Yeah.
weren't all able to get together. And then I was like, do I do it by myself? And I was like, oh no,
No.
me just,
Could
how
you
do
do
you
it?
find stuff to talk about?
Oh, ChatGPT helps a lot.
Okay, okay,
So you
okay.
just put in like what you like, all this stuff, find topics, news articles, all that stuff. Um, and I always talk about stuff that I could talk forever about, like social
Okay.
media. I love country music, so I just talk about, ramble about that.
I'm getting into country music. It's on my gym
Oh,
play.
really? Oh,
Yes.
I can send you a bunch of
Okay.
references.
Okay.
We'll talk after this call. But yeah, bring it back. I'm a big advocate on people starting podcasts.
Okay.
It's amazing what it does for your career too.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, you'll have to share with me. And again, I know you're a consultant and I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but I never know. Like the podcast that I had, I posted it on LinkedIn. And then just recently I figured out how to post on YouTube. But if nobody knows my YouTube handle or whatever, like I didn't know where to post. And those were the challenges that I face. So I was like, forget it.
Mm,
But I do a lot of posts on LinkedIn. I try and post, and they're long. Like I'm getting ready to post one that's about courage and imposter syndrome, courage and making a mistake, and
mhm.
fear. And so can you just do audio?
Well, I do both because there's the people that are at their office wanting to read it, but there's also working people that are coming home from their
Yeah.
office want to listen to it.
Oh, see, the exchange here, I thrive on when you're a solopreneur and I'm just sitting in my downstairs, I thrive on connecting with like-minded people that can help me propel my business. And I then offer, how can I be of service to you? So I just love this exchange right here. And for us to not have met but 37 minutes ago,
Hey, that's the main reason I do this
love it.
podcast. Networking is amazing.
I absolutely love it. So what else do you want to know?
Well, let's finish with
Yep.
where people could follow you one more time, website, and how people could reach out.
Sure. I am Dr. Monica Curry on LinkedIn. Again, that's where I'm most active. My website is www.impactingsquared.com.
Okay.
I'm on YouTube. Oh, I should know what that handle is, but I'm on Insta. I'm on Facebook under impactingsquared.com as well. And my email address is mcurry@impactingsquared.com. So again, if you ever forget, it's about the multiplying effect. That's where the squared comes in.
Perfect. Well, I'll put this in the caption in the description of the episode so people can have easy access. But and I want
Awesome.
to end with this recording is thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on this podcast.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being willing to share the little bit of story about me. So it has been a pleasure.
Awesome.